You're listening to the Youth Empowered Podcast brought to you by Nigerian Bottling Company. Here we keep it real about what it takes to thrive as a young person in Nigeria. Money, career, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. So if this concerns you, this podcast is where you should be. On each episode, we bring seasoned entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, and are ready to share information you can actually use. So whether you're just starting a business or you are figuring out this thing called life, this podcast is for you. Starting a business is not just about taking ideas. It's also about the sleepless nights, looking for money, and fighting through the many struggles that it takes to run a business in this country. In the last episode, my co-host, Moses Dixon, took you through what exactly it is as an adult here in Nigeria to find money, keep money, and make money work for you. From budgeting to investing, with his two fantastic guests, you talked about all of that. Now, this episode, I am bringing it home. Now that you know a little bit about money, let's talk about how we can make money work for you. On this episode of the Youth Empowered Podcast, brought to you by NBC, we are going to be talking about getting the bag, thriving as an entrepreneur. My name is Lara Oluwatoye. And with me here, I have two beautiful, amazing guests. First up, I have Lara Rawa. Now, Lara, you are a seasoned entrepreneur. You started Lagos Cocktails, which also led to the creation of a week that everyone is very familiar with, Lagos Cocktail Week, which has become a significant turning point of culture here in Nigeria, or dare I say, even the world. And I also have with me Eka Obaigbena. You are the founder of Toasties, and you have created something that professionals who are looking for, wonderful meals can quickly get to through your business. Now, in this episode, our two wonderful guests are going to be helping us navigate the waters of entrepreneurship. I'm going to start with you, Lara. What was it that led you to pick up Lagos Cocktail and start the business?
Thank you for that question. So my first business was actually Eventi Cocktails. Eventi Cocktails, I started Eventi in 2009. And while I was doing that business, I was looking for something more. I felt like there was something more that could be done. I felt like there was a platform. I think the issue was I was trying to bridge the gap between being an entrepreneur who works in hospitality and events industry and wanting to work with the global brands, global beverage brands, if I may say that. And to bridge that gap, there had to be a platform where there could be a convergence, of in that industry. So that led me to London Cocktail Week. So I did go to London. I volunteered at London Cocktail Week. I worked there at the Bluebird Hub to see what was going on and how things went. And I asked a lot of questions because I had the intention of doing something similar, even if not the same, but something similar in Nigeria. And while I was there, I did my research to see if something like that was already taking place in Nigeria that I didn't know about. And there was nothing like that. The only thing I found was something happening in the wine industry, but not in the cocktail industry. So immediately I came back, I kicked off with the Lagos Cocktail Week. So that was how I started Lagos Cocktail Week.
All right, Eka, what inspired you to start Toasties, and what would you say was your first big hurdle?
What inspired me to start Toasties? Okay, let's take it a little bit back. After university, I went to culinary school in the US. So I was trained in more like fine dining cuisine. So I worked in like Michelin star restaurants, that kind of caliber of restaurants. But I would always come back to Nigeria in my holidays. And I found that the food industry wasn't giving. So this is obviously I finally moved back in 2015. with the purpose of, or the mission of starting Toasties. At the time, so again, what I saw was just not, and at a time when I would, after working in, I was working in a media organization at the time. So I would on my lunch breaks, I would go to places like Chipotle, Shake Shack, like fast food, fast casual restaurants. And I like the idea of having, good quality meals in a non-pretentious environment. So even though my training was more in fine dining, I like the casual setting. So I figured maybe I can...
You can marry the two together.
Yeah, so I had a blog, Biscuit Bone blog. Mm. Yeah. I started that in 2012. So while I was I would blog on the side and I would fuse like other cuisines with African flavors. So Asian, Italian, you name it. So I created this sandwich, shaki sandwich, right? Yes, you heard it right.
There's actually shaki in it.
Yes. Ooh. So I was inspired by this chef, Heston Blumenthal. At the time, his restaurants were like number one in the world and all of that. So he had a TV show that I saw where he would take an ingredient, a common, like a well-known ingredient dish and do his own. So he used to do like molecular gastronomy is like where I can make stew look like caviar and smoke will be coming out, that kind of stuff, like the scientific side of things. So he did took us through the history of sandwiches and created a sandwich with offal, which is like guts. So I was like, hey, so my blog, well, how can I? So I now said, okay, we have shaki. I love shaki. So I was like, so I did it all, did a little cheese sauce thing and all of that and made it into a sandwich. It was really nice. So I said, let's try this in Lagos.
And that's how Toasties was born.
It started.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Basically.
So what would you say was your biggest hurdle, starting Toasties beyond breaking into a fresh market?
I mean, the whole starting, like just getting information about, where to start, what licenses I need, all of that. Like if I want to start a business in the US, I can just go to Google. I can search any random states and it will tell me these are all the things you need
to do.
I don't have to like ask any questions. But
so
here in Nigeria, especially 10 years ago, things are a bit better now. But 10 years ago, like when you couldn't Google this information was not there.
It was not there for you.
So it's just by trial and error. When the various ministries starts visiting your store, that's when you know. That's when you will learn that, there's this documentation that I need. So that was one of the most difficult
hurdles.
Hurdles. Lack of information.
We all know that everyone now wants to be an entrepreneur. Like it sounds like a glamorous thing. I run my own business. Here's my business card. But people are finding out that there's a lot more than just that glamorous name that comes into running a business, from managing capital to staff. People have stories of staff for days. You're shaking your head, so I know you have stories of staff for days, stressing them out. So for you, what did the early days of Lagos Cocktail look like?
So the early days were challenging times. And that's because you're bringing up a platform that people are not used to. And, back then, the brands didn't want to work together.
Unknowns.
So if you had maybe one of the brands on board and then you go for a meeting with another brand and then they ask you who is on this project, and then you mention if they're there we can't touch it. So that's how we started, but with consistency, which is why if you have a platform or something you're working on, it's very important that you're consistent with it, because if you have a vision and you believe in that vision, nothing should shake you. If challenges come your way, that if I'm able to go above and rise against fight against this hurdle, I can only get better. That's the story of Lagos Cocktail Week. The first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year. It took time. And I think for me, I needed to have a motto. So my motto then was, whatever it takes, the event must hold. Mm-hmm. So even if I had to use hanging fruits or, maybe trade by barter, services and, things like that. But there was a particular brand that actually did, they believed in the vision and they supported. And where we are now, so Lagos Cocktail Week is 11. We celebrated our 10th year anniversary last year. And we've been able to stick to our pillars of information, education, and entertainment, which is what we do. So yes, I would say, it was really challenging. getting even, because the idea of Lagos Cocktail Week is to build the cocktail culture.
Yes.
So then I used to say, it's the platform for the emerging. I remember it used to be emerging cocktail culture in Nigeria. So now it's no longer emerging. Now there's so many bartenders. There are now female bartenders who are interested in mixology.
Yeah, so many varieties.
And some of them are, taking part in global competitions. They're going to represent Nigeria outside the country. So it was quite challenging. Also, the mindset people had then was bartending is something I'm doing, is a means to an end. There's no future. Let me just use this to hold my side till I get to, to what I'm doing. But now they've been able to see that, look, indeed, this is a profession. We can rise from here. We can, we can become bar managers. We can open our own bar as well. We can also become entrepreneurs. We can travel out of the country. We can write exams, So it's just shown that, this culture, consistency and being dogged, can actually, get you to where you need to be. I don't think I'm there yet, even though we're celebrating 11 years. I feel like for each year, there's always something new. I'm always putting one challenge or one task. So, if you don't do this, then, you haven't done it well. So really, just embrace the challenge and, just be dogged.
I like that you mentioned mindset, because being dogged is also a mindset thing. Yeah. Now, Eka, I want to bring this to you because a lot of times people don't realize that there's a lot of their background that goes into helping how you turn out as an entrepreneur. If you've never seen someone be disciplined in anything, you will know how to be disciplined when you're starting your own business. So what can you say was, a part or something from how you were raised, your upbringing, that shaped how you built and run Toasties?
I think it's just the way my parents both were. My parents are both entrepreneurs and very, very hardworking. From a young age, I always knew that I wanted to have
a business.
I was like, I want to be a businesswoman. I didn't know that. But I see my mother is a businesswoman. I want to be a businesswoman. So that was just always like, I always knew that I wanted to run my own business eventually. I didn't know what it would be. But yeah, it was just like the way my parents always were. And then my siblings as well, very, very hardworking. Very, very hardworking.
All right. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk money a bit. Well, not a bit, because we're talking getting the bag this entire episode. But let's start money in the beginning. Capital is one of the most important things when you're starting a business. Whether you are buying infrastructure for the business, or you want to pay the initial staff, or you even want to get sponsors on board, they need to know that you have a little something on the side. So how would you say it was difficult, challenging? What words would you use in terms of when you wanted to raise capital for Lagos Cocktail, not just Lagos Cocktail, but when you were also starting Lagos Cocktail Week?
Okay, so two things. When I was starting my first business, Eventi Cocktails, I didn't have capital and I wanted to start the business.
You had zero
in the bank? I didn't. No, so when I say capital, so maybe you had money in the bank for yourself, to pay your rent, to eat, to live your life. But you didn't have money to actually start the business. So this is where it's important to have people relationship is very important because the people they say you're, what's that word they're always saying that
the average of the 5
the people, so the people more like, so the people would be the ones to help you. There's something they say, but I've forgotten, sorry.
It's okay.
But I find that at that point, maybe let me take it back. No, let me take it back. So that, since we're talking to young people, I was working and I was made redundant.
Oof.
So the business could not push itself. So I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. Let me be honest. I studied law. I have a master's degree in international business law. This was even before I did my MBA. So at the time I had a master's degree in international business. I was working in a company. But then the products we were selling couldn't sell itself. So we were made redundant. And at that point, there was that credit crunch thing happening. People were not really employing. And don't forget, I didn't really practice law. So it meant if I wanted to go back to law, I was going to be at the bottom, So I didn't want to do that. So I realized, I can actually start my own business. I started as an event planner first. And while I was doing the event planning, I realized, event planning, it takes time for you to get, because you're new, the event could be maybe in 6 months' time and you've been paid, you're working so hard just for, 6 months. So what can I do that I would work every weekend. And then I realized, cocktails. I'm like, okay, wow, cocktails. Okay, but at that time, I didn't know how to make cocktails. I hope someone is learning from this. I didn't know how to make cocktails, but I knew someone who knew how to make cocktails. So I said, okay, you know what? You would make the cocktails. I would look for the clients because I know that I know people.
Yeah.
So that's where people came in. And then I got my first gig. My first event, I actually had 2 events on that day. So I had a wedding in Ikeja and I had a 40th birthday party in VI. When they paid me the money,
ends of
when I got the money, I remember I went to the market in Lagos Island and it was raining. I'll never forget. Oof. It was raining. I was in that market in Gorodome. I bought cooler, I bought glassware, I bought dispenser, I bought the things that I could use. Yeah. So in fact, I spent the entire funds for the first wedding to buy all these things. And then I knew that I wanted it to look, I had a vision of how I wanted the drinks to look. I didn't want it to look at every other person. Yeah. So I went and bought imported garnish. So I still have that picture on Facebook.
How much did the first business pay you?
I can't even remember. Maybe 70K or 80, something like that. Then the second maybe like 100 and something. In fact, I had to borrow money
to buy everything.
So when I was asking for the money, my friend said, I don't understand. They paid you for this business and you're still borrowing money. I said, no, I want it to look a certain way because this is my first event. And if everything comes out looking nice, more people would want to contact me for their own event. So that was all I was thinking about. Even before you
knew what it was, branding was already...
was all like, it has to look this certain way. And that was how I did the first event. Everything went well. And from there, the sky was just...
It was the beginning.
The beginning.
Awesome.
So I didn't have the funds. Now going to Lagos Cocktail, this is where I said people and relationship also, goes a long way. Because then, I was talking about, I'll talk to people about it. As, they'll be like, okay, Lara, we understand, we'll support you. But they're looking at me like, well, you're a lawyer. Why are you stressing yourself? But I had a vision. I could see. I knew that, look, this platform may not be now, but in a few years, we will get there. I just need to keep pushing. So that was how Lagos Cocktail Week started. That was how I was able to get funds. So it wasn't like the money was sitting somewhere or I went to the bank and it came.
All right. Now, Eka, I want to talk to you again also about revenue. What was it like, a lot of times people, when they start this business, let's even say you were given maybe a loan, someone helped you with capital to start the business and you spent your capital setting everything up. A lot of people now get stumped in how to grow that revenue that they are making beyond selling their products. So did you go into like other side hustles as a way to bring revenue, to pull it into Toasties to keep it going?
Okay, so, when I started Toasties, I started it. I had saved up a little bit, not much. I don't know if any of you was a Toasties customer. Our kitchen was smaller than this space here, so it was like So it's not like I had a bunch of money. You just like I resonate a lot with what she was saying in terms of how you just start. I wouldn't say that when I started. My background is not in marketing. I didn't know all of these things. So as for how to have some...
How to market yourself.
It was really just, I told my family when I was starting, only my landlord bought sandwich that first day.
Wow.
I had bought all these ingredients thinking, because I was coming from like a restaurant, like, fine dining restaurant. So you do all your prep, that this is the number of covers you expect you're going to have that day. So I was like, hey, my first day, I'm going to do all that food sports. I didn't sell, I sold one sandwich, the next day 0. You'll be looking for the cars. Like when a car enters the compound, you're like, oh yeah, customer. Then they will now enter another shop. So like eventually I learned that, okay, you just have to like start going based on like trends, like your historical. Okay, well actually I didn't even get to that point yet. That was a few years later. but like it's just step by step. So honestly, it's not as if like, I started like trying to attend events. Like anytime somebody will approach me, we have a food festival, or some of those ones are scams though. But anyway, you have to like because what happened? I remember one of the first food festivals I was invited to. It was like one bank, So I was like, okay, it's going to be big. So we now use like...
You spent money
so much money
wow.
that compared to like what we had. Like we spent a lot, like, don't worry, we're going to make it. And I can probably count how many
people came to your booth.
It was just not. So there's just like, I wouldn't say that there was no like formula. It was just like going with the flow. But one thing that you said that resonates with me, like you wanted things to be a certain way.
The branding.
That quality of that product, that's the one thing I put my foot down. Like even if in the beginning, maybe I didn't do the costing properly and maybe we're leaking money, but I just made sure that product, as far as my name is here, like it's going to taste the way I want it to taste. So I didn't cut corners. I still don't cut corners when it comes to the quality of the product. So that's the one thing.
In starting businesses, they tend to, I like how you use the word leaking. Some people tend to leak their business finances into their personal lives or any other way. How important is it as a business person, as an entrepreneur, for you to reinvest your profits back into your business? This one is for you, Lara.
So initially, I wouldn't sugarcoat the whole thing. Initially, I didn't think that way. So I would think, I'm running the business and then the money, the profit, I should be able to use to take care of myself, enjoy. But after taking some business courses, I realized, then the business will not grow. The business will still be on the same level and the business should have risen above that. So it's quite important that, and which is why, you should have long-term goals and short-term goals. I think sometimes we just look at our businesses as entrepreneurs as, look, it's just, a means to an end, and money is coming in and that's it. But, if you have, goals, your long term, what's the long term, what's the short term, then you're able to put money aside and save money and invest money into the business. Because when COVID came, in fact, I already got a bottling machine. It was in my store and I never promoted it because I just thought, who needs you to bottle cocktails and start stressing? But luckily for me, I was already speaking, when COVID came, I realized that was what saved me. Because now there were no events. I had a machine. I could bottle. So I sat in my kitchen. And that's why I was bottling and sending out. And then when people started to make boxes, So that was preparation meets opportunity because I'd invested in the money in the machine. But I wasn't ready for it. But I saw that, look, there's a potential here. So rather than eat the money I invested, and that was what helped us through COVID, because if not, we wouldn't have made anything. And then when that happened, it was time for us to get NAFTA, because then I thought, okay, you know what? But something kept nagging, get the big space. Okay, that's investment, Abi. We invest in the big space. And then we realized, okay, you know what? What am I doing? I can do a training academy because people are asking
for it.
And, people do train. And that was how it came. And because we had that, opportunities opened up because some people were now looking to do like a training for, bulk training for some people. But that we had already invested in that. And that was not. So if you look at the trajectory, so it wasn't like it happened, but because I was opened to investing back into the business and in the things that, because, your investment also needs to make sense. Because you also don't want to invest in what you don't need or what will not yield profit or what is not in line with your business. So I think, it's really important.
Now, when you talk about reinvesting back into the business wisely, there are some people who have the tendency to invest in the superficial for their business. They want to look profitable on the outside. Meanwhile, inside, the business is not really standing on balanced legs. So and I know that there's also, you want to look good, but how as an entrepreneur can you balance, looking profitable with actually being financially stable? And I want you to answer that, Eka.
I think in my earlier days, it was kind of like I was very particular about, okay, I'm trying to keep the cost low. So I would hire people that are not capable of the job, but okay, I need an accountant. Did they have training? Do they have their ICANN certificates? Oh, you said you're an accountant on your CV. Okay, you studied this in school. Okay, cool. As long as I'm trying to keep my costs down. But what that does to your business is then you then have somebody that maybe is not like competent for the role, and you two, you're not competent. So it's blind leading the blind. So so I had like I didn't invest in like strong people in certain departments. So I think it's very important to like make sure, like, it might sound like expensive upfront, but you might not see like what you're losing in the long run, whether it is like marketing. Like I didn't have a marketing department for, it's only this year that I started having marketing in marketing departments, right? So having people in marketing, having people in finance, having people like strong operations people, very, 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 very key. Because otherwise, all those leakages, like, yeah.
How key?
I wanted to quickly add something. I wanted to add to what she said, because I went through that challenge. So because it's and this is now for events, because I felt, it's just an events business where we go out to serve cocktails. Then I don't need to have structure in place in my company, because everybody's calling me. I'll send the invoice, and then I just need one person, there. And I find that I was so stressed.
Yeah,
I was taking on things I had no business being involved in. So then I realized structure is important, and it doesn't even matter what you're paying, because as long as you get, so it's not, so talking about looking good, so looking good can also be employing people that have no business being employed.
But because they just look the part.
Yes. So it's important that you put structures in place, and those structures, you should actually employ people who are capable of handling those roles, and you know what they're doing. Because what then happens is you don't do mundane stuff anymore. And then you're able to channel your energy into thinking about the business, the growth of the business, and even developing the business, having other ideas, collaborative ideas.
Now that when you started, not a lot of people were doing cocktails, but now that industry is booming and getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yes.
How do you stay abreast of the trends, the different things that are popping up? How do you stay relevant?
Well, so the truth is, I don't think, so when people say, they are the OGs, they've been there since, I don't see myself as that. I'm still the same person I was when I started. So that you have competition.
Yeah.
You need to be aware of who your competitors are. You need to be aware of the trends. You need to be aware of what your customers want, what they don't want. But you also need to stay true to yourself. So there's some things that, they'll say, do you do this? Do you do that? I'm like, no, we don't do this. We don't do that. This is who we are.
This is who we are.
So we have our own identity.
See, I like that you mentioned your rebranding, because I was going to ask you that, how your customer, what they like, what they want. How have you been able to stay fresh in the eyes of your customer? Because when someone has been using a particular brand for a long time, sometimes there's a boredom can set in, because they're like, these guys, I love you. Your food is great. Your product is great. But you've looked the same way for the past 10, 15 years. You've sold me the same thing. Like, where's the pizzazz?
Yeah. So Toasties is about to turn 9 this month, September, right? And I would say that So I'll say we're coming out of we weren't changing for a while, and we started seeing a decline. So now we've made an investment into really trying to understand like what's the cause of the decline, and now we're trying to like rebrand in a way that really communicates to the customer. So I think it's just really about just spending the time to like study that.
Right now, you are listening to the Youth Empowered podcast, brought to you by the Nigerian Bottling Company, where we help Nigerian youths turn problems into opportunities. Stay tuned. We've got more practical solutions for you to help you grow your business. Now, we're talking getting the bag, and we've touched already on revenue, starting with or without capital, and how important relationships are to starting your business. And we've also talked a bit about how, you need to also understand your audience, which helps you brand, but also, produce quality products for your customers. Now, we're going to talk about scaling. You've mentioned how when you started the business, you didn't have a physical location. And when you started the business, your space was smaller than where we are now. So in scaling that business, how were you able to, from your early days, now that you've taken that leap, you've started the business, how were you able to, beyond the sale of the product, pull all the necessary resources, whether it's people, whether it's, new ideas to rebrand or, reinvent your business? How were you able to push your business from what it was into this mega thing? I mean, you're now turning 11, you're turning 9. It takes a lot to stay alive that long.
So, during COVID, I went back to school. So I went back to school.
What did you study?
I think it was
this
the
time?
fear. So I did an MBA course.
Okay.
I wrote the exam. I got admission into Lagos Business School. And I think that's where the mindset shift came from. So education is really important. I think for all the milestones I've achieved after COVID in expansion and in scaling has happened because I took that MBA course. Because then I met people, I made friends with people who were bankers, who are, CEOs. So they would look into, they will help me look into my business. Yes.
So we recently got some investments partners that came in, and the strategic insights and, the need to like bring in higher key members into the team. It's kind of like what you're saying about having people look into your business.
Yes.
That's essentially what we did. We had people in every department, every area, look into the business and say, okay, how can we improve,
make this better,
right?
Yeah.
And like the first I discovered Instagram ads. Hey, me and Instagram ads were 5
made
and
money.
6. That's what made like, because it's about visibility. So what you were saying earlier about what helped you like, really grow
Scale up,
apart from like bringing people in, putting ourselves in like a prominent location. We moved from the hidden hole that nobody really knew to like a main street.
What are the common mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make? From, ranging from things like expanding too quickly to, making the wrong investment. What are the common mistakes that, from experience, whether yours or someone else's, that you would say a lot of entrepreneurs make? I'll start with you, Eka.
Okay, I'll use myself as an example. I always knew that for Toasties, I wanted to expand. I wanted to make like a chain. So I was inspired by brands like Shake Shack, Chipotle. They're all chain brands, right? So I always knew it's going to be more than one Toasties, right? So as soon as like the business was doing well, reinvest the money, open another location. So there was one fateful year when we're prepared.
Facial expression.
We're prepared to like we're gearing up to like, okay, it's time. Our customers have been asking us. We had a location in Ikoyi and one in MM2. So it's like time to like
open a third
in Lekki, because we now had the opportunity. Great. Now, at the time we were met with anyway, there's another location that we had been speaking to them for about a year. They weren't ready yet. But finally, they came ready when we were getting ready to open our Lekki location. Right? And then at the same time, another location came up. And as I said, instead of going and strategizing, I said,
let's do all three.
YOLO. You only live once. So I didn't go and look at the numbers or let me do the, if we open this location, how long will it take to break even? I didn't do all of that. I just said,
let's go.
The opportunity has come. Let's go. Boom. And the pepper that
that's huge.
The eye opening like that. But I think it was a necessary growth experience. Yeah, it was the ghetto. That period it was bad, but we learned and we persevered. So to answer your question, you need to any decision you want to make,
think about it.
You need to think about it.
If everybody's telling you to do something, it doesn't mean you need to do it.
Yeah.
So you should, and that's what it tells us. When you're starting your business, you should have like a business plan.
Yeah.
So that plan should be what drives you.
Familiar pressure as an entrepreneur is something that people don't talk about a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have friends, where's that thin line, that stopping point between adapting what is market practice and it looking like you're copying other people?
So I think for me, it would be your personality. So if someone was doing something and, there's a trend, you have to own your own. And owning yours means there has to be a sprinkle of you
in that,
of your identity, because everybody has that USP.
Now, if you are enjoying this conversation, make sure to follow us on the Nigerian Bottling Company on YouTube. You can also catch this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to see the full videos and previous episodes, you can find everything on our YouTube page. So make sure you follow. Now, we're going to look at, practical steps to check on the health of your business. The SMART goals. So as a business person, how, what kind of SMART goals did you set for yourself starting out? Even now that you're 11 and 9, what kind of SMART goals did you set for yourself to ensure that this business doesn't just grow, it thrives, and it's something that some 20 years down the line,
it's from doing those things that I then at the end of the month I can now, by the deadline, I can now stand on the scale, I presume, and see that, okay, have I checked off the goals? If I haven't, maybe I'll make another tweak. Similar thing with your business, right? Maybe you have a revenue target, maybe you have a number of customers that you want to hit in a given period.
Yeah.
Then if I'm going to have those things, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? Very key is, that's why I keep saying know your customer, listen to your customer.
Customers.
Okay, what is your customer saying? What feedback is your customer giving you about your business? Maybe they're telling you, oh, this place is too hot, or your seats are not comfortable, or I don't know, it depends on what your business is, right? Take that feedback. Okay, let me see if I make this tweak, what would that do towards me hitting my goals? Or should I try doing a promotion? If I do this kind of promotion. So I think it just starts with have your goal on a regular basis, whether it's a monthly goal, quarterly goal, and you have a goal. Don't just be coasting. Have your goal, and then you work towards this with the various different tactics, right?
That you want to use. Are you able to differentiate between what should be a short-term goal and what to be a long-term goal?
But everything still goes back
into the business.
Everything still goes back to your statement of accounts. Is the business really making money? Yeah. So if your business is making money, then you can achieve your goals. They're achievable. But if your business is not making money, then you're stuck. And then you need to go back and look at it.
I finally hit the goals. Okay, let's increase that. So I think the point is that you make a goal, you set a goal, you hit it, you set the next goal.
You hit that one too.
Going,
and you just keep going. Yeah. So it never ends. You just keep...
Never ends.
No, once you hit it, are you unless it's business is closing up.
Yes.
Once you hit your goal, what's next? What's next?
Yeah. That's why entrepreneurs are always busy. They're always thinking
you always have to think.
What's next? Where do we go from here?
Think a lot. Sometimes
even now I'm thinking.
Sometimes I'm asleep. It happened to me this morning, and I had to tell myself, Lara, calm down.
Yeah.
Just sleep first.
Yeah.
Everyone is sleeping. So that's what I always tell myself. Everyone you even want to call right now, they're sleeping.
Unless it's an entrepreneur.
They're sleeping. So sleep in the morning.
You call them.
Because I'm and then sometimes people know, even when I'm planning cocktail week, anybody and they know 3 a.m. but you just see one long
email.
Message, you're like Then they'll ask me in the morning, please, ma, do you sleep?
How many hours of sleep do you clock in a day? Now I'm asking this because a lot of motivational speakers, they've said things like, oh, as an entrepreneur, you don't sleep. You this, you that, you that. But then we also need to understand that you need to take care of your body as an entrepreneur.
Yes, you have to.
Being a business owner, there's a business side to it, and then there's a health side to it, especially when your business has not clocked that stage where outside of you, the business can keep running smoothly. So as an entrepreneur, how do you take care of your body, your mind, your rest? I'll start with you.
In the beginning,
there was
my
no sleep.
business, I opened and closed my business. So there was even a time when I would be there 7 days a week. That was just my life, right? And then obviously you run into not being happy and all of that. So I had to remove myself. There was a time I had to say, okay, no, at 7:00 I am done with work. Okay,
Were
guys?
you?
Yeah. There was a period because I was just morning and night. Every single day, morning and night.
Clocked in.
And our hours were long. So I would be there that was my whole life, right? So I had to purposely say, okay, no, at 7:00, do other things. So I remember I picked up playing tennis.
Oh,
that was fun.
Are you still playing it?
No.
Why?
Other things have come up. But no, so just like find time to carve out. Your mind needs like a break. Even like if you can take a holiday, you know, whether it is like a holiday and you stay in your house and you just don't go, or you go somewhere else, like remove your mind from the business. During those holidays, it allowed me to like have a bird's eye view of my business. Because even on the holiday, are you really on holiday? You're still thinking about your business. I'll honestly say I've not had like a seamless holiday where my phone is like, but that's what I've just accepted that's just my life, right? Yeah. But like, having time to have a bird's eye view, it really helped me to strategize, helped me to feel. In fact, that's when I was like, okay, I now started setting higher goals. Because if you're like in it, you're not seeing like certain things. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's so important to take time and like, you know, I started exercising. I started, you know, all that. So just try and introduce sleeping like for at least 6 hours.
Yeah. Some recreational activities.
It's really important.
Yeah, it's so important.
Lara, how do you wind down as an entrepreneur? No, really, you need to. You look like you don't.
Who, me?
Yes.
I do. So, but you know, the thing is, I remember, you know, back in the days, I always wanted to be at all my events. And there was this particular day, I had gone from an event in Lekki, then I went to Muson, then I went somewhere else. I went to Civic Center. I think we had about 4 events. By the time I came back to the last one in Lekki, I just felt like, you know, my back, there was this spasm. I didn't know what it was. And they took me to the hospital. And at the hospital, they put me, the doctor actually told me, stay here.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. And then they put the IV line and drips. And while I was there, the way my phone was ringing, the doctor said, all these calls, would you have taken all these calls? I said, yes. He said, no, you're not doing it the right way. And this was when I thought, it's a business that's just events. You'll just call, you send invoice. You don't need staff. You just need somebody, you know. Because as an entrepreneur, you're thinking you feel like you're not making so much money, so you can't really employ people. They're not really going to be doing a lot. Yeah. So I think that was my first lesson. That was when I realized that, you know what, sleep is important. You need to do other things aside from. I started going to the gym. I work out 3 times a week. And I realized that when I do that, you know, my brain is, you know, everything flows. And then at 7, I tell myself at 7, you know,
clocking out.
You clock in. Yeah, so I try. So at 7, so 7, I clock out. I don't think work related, nothing. If I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie.
Do you put your phone on D&D though?
Yeah, and then what I've also learned to do now is my phone. So my phone, I don't put it on D&D, but I screen calls.
Yeah.
So when they call this call, I know that this call is problem. I will not pick it because I'm like, I need to, my mental health. Like the Gen Zs.
Mental health is important.
My mental health is important. So I think and also getting good sleep is also important. But I find that if I don't go to bed early, and you know, you need to know your body. If I don't go to sleep early, then it's difficult for me to go to bed. So I have to be in bed latest 8 o'clock, even if I'm just there and I'm already in bed and I fall asleep and I rest. So that works. And then when I travel, I've always said I'm looking for the day that when I travel, my phone can be off.
Me too.
And I can just, you know, like nobody is calling, no business. But guess what? I don't know. Is that day gonna come?
I mean, if you sell your business.
If I sell my business.
That day eventually came for certain people. So eventually.
That's why I was thinking, like, that's the way I was thinking about it. Maybe the day I sell my business, that's when I can turn off or mute. You said D&D. No.
But do you think it's sorry, but do you think it's a Nigerian problem?
No.
Do you think other entrepreneurs have this sort of issues?
So I think I'm now realizing what it is. It's just you really need to have strong people that you can hand over to and trust.
Yes.
So that's what I'm working on now in terms of, I do have a strong team now.
So I have that.
Having people that you can trust that, if anything happens,
you'll be good.
And I'm becoming, and it's practice, right? So soon, like in the beginning, every call I'll pick it. Eventually I'm like, this person that is, I know that is not, they will figure it out. And I won't answer.
Yes, I do that.
Unless they call like 5 times.
Like, they're like, okay, there must be fire on the mountain.
Sometimes I actually answer, I say, please tell me the fire that is.
I think that this stuff, they do it intentionally because they know that you're so sold. You know, I feel like they took advantage of it. You know that if they call, I'll say, it's business. Is it, you know? So when I came to that realization, I started behaving like you.
No,
when they call, I'll say, if everyone wants to phone, you cannot. I started
doing that.
You know what to do. Yes, and guess what? The next morning, when I call, they will tell me one mundane.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, so that is what you called me for.
Yeah. Oh, that sentence and me.
That's what you called me for.
That sentence. Is that why you're calling me? That's
really? You can't figure it out?
Wow.
So like some people, they like when you're not around, they figure it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
But sometimes when you're there, they'll always
want to
like as if they can't figure it out. But sometimes you just try and like I want them to learn.
So
I had to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
I know it's my business too.
But you figure it out.
I had to figure it out at one point, so I want them to figure it out.
Also figure it
out. Because I figured it out, that's how I know the response, right? That's the same way you two will figure it out. So I let them. I've now started giving people the grace to like make mistakes with my business.
Yes.
Because
that's the way they'll learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I will have peace. You have to make a mistake or two. Yeah, there might be a customer complaint.
But shouldn't be a mistake that will cost you.
But we can't.
No.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah. So no, but you will know who you're like leaving in that kind of control. You would have trained the person to a point where it's not a newbie that you won't be answering.
There's the difference between mistake and catastrophe.
Yeah.
That one is catastrophe.
Yeah, some of your staff, your team,
you
like,
know that
this person can't do. There's only so much bad or so much good. Like there's this, I can trust that it's in good hands. Don't just leave your business in the hands of somebody you do because he wants to rest. No, you will not rest.
You will not rest.
Or maybe you just rest in pieces. Business will be gone.
There are actually people that run their business that way. So yeah.
Well, depends on the type of business though. Like
there are people that do that and they just leave it for other people, and you can see it when you go to the business.
It shows in the business.
Yeah. So,
and then you have clients just walking in and out. They don't retain anybody. But yes, this has been a very insightful episode. Thank you so much. We've learned so much on this episode. Getting the bag, thriving as an entrepreneur. We've learned how to grow your business step by step. Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly.
You can think about what you want to chew later, but work towards it gradually. We've also learned about how important it is in terms of reinvesting money back into your business. When your money moves, spending it wisely on different aspects of your business. We've also learned, like you mentioned, know your customers. So important to know your customers because that will shape the language of your business. It will shape the product you're offering to your customers. It will shape, location, where you're going to meet your customers or having them meet you. And we've also learned some common mistakes that entrepreneurs make and how to do your best to avoid them. Thank you so much, Lara, for being on the show. Thank you, Eka, for being on the show. One final word, of encouragement because this climb is like every day something new is popping up, a new policy, a new tax law, something new is happening. One word of encouragement to our young entrepreneurs out there who have either started or are looking at starting in the nearest future. I'll start with you, Lara.
So for those who have started, I'll say stay the course. It would only get better. For those who are about to come in, I'll say do it afraid. Others are doing it. They don't have 10 heads. So you also can thrive. Thank you.
And then just off the back of that, just put one foot in front of the other. You're going to see challenges. Those challenges are not meant to like break your business down. It's actually meant to make you, stronger and make you better. So look at the challenge and figure out a way to maneuver it, but just keep going as much as you can. Unless you're actually clearly like maybe the market or the business that you're doing is just not right. It's not a right fit. Also have the wisdom to say, okay, this is not a right fit. But yeah, I think as far as you're working hard, you'll get somewhere.
All right. Thank you so much. That is it for the Youth Empowered podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Also, we want to have conversations with you. So please leave a comment in the comment section, whether you're listening on Spotify or an Apple Podcast or you're watching us on YouTube. Please make sure you leave a comment so we can learn and, see how the reality of the world is for you young entrepreneurs and also offer some useful advice to help you. Make sure you engage with us on social media. Search for Youth Empowered Nigeria on all social media apps and also engage with us. The hashtag is YE, hashtag Youth Empowered. We will love to stay in touch with you here on the Youth Empowered podcast. And until next time, stay blessed.